Ramadan is not simply a month that arrives on the calendar, it arrives as an invitation, and that invitation is deeply personal for every heart carrying regret. As we begin this tafsir journey through Ramadan, understand that this month was not designed for perfect people, it was designed for returning people. It is the season where Allah opens doors that shame convinced us were locked, where the recitation of the Qur'an does more than inform the mind. It reawakens the soul that thought it had drifted too far. Many enter Ramadan quietly afraid, carrying unfinished apologies, delayed repentance, and sins they never found the courage to confront. Yet Ramadan does not ask where you've been, it asks where you are willing to turn now. Every fast is a declaration that the heart still wants Allah. Every night prayer is a step back toward closeness. Every verse listened to is a reminder that mercy did not shrink while you were distracted. This month teaches us that returning is not an emergency act reserved for crisis, it is a lifestyle of the believer, renewed every dawn and sealed every sunset. And as we walk through this tafsir together, the goal is not to study words alone, but to rediscover the pathway from shame to hope, from distance to intimacy, from falling to returning, because Ramadan is the proof that Allah never stopped calling you back, even on the days you stopped answering. Subscribe to The Inspired Muslim, and sit with this message like it's a conversation meant only for you, because there are hearts watching this that are exhausted from carrying a private weight. Not the weight of disbelief. Not the weight of rebellion. But the weight of loving Allah while feeling like you keep disappointing Him. There are people who still whisper His name before sleeping, still feel something when they hear Qur'an, still want to be close. Yet shame has quietly wrapped around their chest like a tight rope. Maybe you promised you would stop a sin and return to it. Maybe you delayed repentance so long that now turning back feels awkward, like showing your face after disappearing. Maybe you feel spiritually dirty, like your hands are unworthy to be raised. And the tragedy is not the mistake itself, the tragedy is believing that your shame is a barrier when it was always meant to be a bridge. Because shame in its pure form is not meant to exile you. It is meant to escort you back home. The door you're afraid to approach is not guarded by anger. It is guarded by mercy waiting to be claimed. After every sin there is a fork in the road that no one sees except you. One path is lit by humility. The other is darkened by despair. And the difference between them is a whisper. A whisper that tells you whether to run toward Allah or hide from Him. Many people don't realize that the real battle starts after the mistake. The enemy is patient. First he invites the fall gently. Then the moment it happens, he abandons temptation and picks up accusation. Suddenly the same voice that encouraged you to slip now calls you disgusting, fake, beyond repair. And if you listen long enough, you begin to shrink spiritually. Your dua becomes shorter. Your sujud becomes rushed. Your connection feels distant, not because Allah moved away, but because shame convinced you to step back. This is how hearts are stolen, not in loud rebellion, but in quiet withdrawal. Healthy guilt is warm, it pushes tears out and pulls you closer. Toxic shame is cold, it freezes movement and convinces you to stay down. One is a ladder. The other is a cage. Pause and think about a reality that is almost too gentle to comprehend. Every version of you was known before you existed. The version that would worship with sincerity. The version that would relapse in weakness. The version that would cry in regret at 2 a.m. Allah did not discover your flaws after creating you. He authored your entire timeline and still chose you for existence. That means your return is not an interruption in your story, it is written into it. You were designed with the capacity to fall and the instinct to come back. Your relationship with Allah is not built on a straight line of perfection. It is built on a rhythm of departure and reunion. And what makes this rhythm sacred is that He never treats your return as repetitive annoyance. Humans grow tired of apologies. Allah treasures them. Every time you turn back, angels witness an act more beloved than many forms of worship, because repentance is pure honesty. It is the servant admitting need. And need is the language of love between creation and Creator. There are people who fear that repeating repentance makes them fraudulent, but the deeper truth is that refusing to return would be the real betrayal. A heart that still feels pain after sin is alive. A dead heart does not ache. It does not blush in private. It does not whisper apologies. The discomfort you feel is evidence of faith still breathing inside you. Returning again and again is not proof of weakness, it is proof of refusal to surrender. It means that even when you fall, you have not accepted distance as normal. You still believe closeness is worth chasing. And that belief alone is precious beyond measure. Allah does not demand that your repentance be elegant. He does not require perfect consistency before welcoming you. He honors the direction of your heart even when your steps are unstable. A servant crawling toward him is more beloved than a servant standing still out of shame. Subscribe to the Inspired Muslim if this reminder feels personal, because there are countless people carrying identical guilt in silence, smiling in public while negotiating with regret in private. Shame isolates. It convinces each person their struggle is unique and unforgivable. But the battlefield of returning is shared by almost every believer who cares deeply. The most dangerous sentence a heart can accept is, "I'm too far gone." That sentence has buried more souls in despair than sin ever did. Because once a person believes the door is closed, they stop knocking. And the tragedy is that the door never closed. Mercy does not expire. The invitation does not withdraw. If your chest is reacting right now, if something inside you is softening instead of resisting, that is proof of connection still alive. Dust can gather on a mirror, but it does not erase the reflection. Your heart remembers its direction even when it feels lost. Returning without shame is not about dramatic overnight transformation. It is about building the courage to come back immediately instead of postponing. You stop what you can stop, even if it's temporary. You regret without turning that regret into self-hatred, because self-hatred is another trap disguised as humility. You ask forgiveness in words that are simple and raw, because Allah listens to sincerity, not performance. You follow the apology with a small act of goodness, a prayer, a charity, a kindness, something that tells your soul movement is still possible. And when you slip again, you shorten the gap before returning. You train your reflex to rebound toward mercy. Over time your identity changes. You are no longer someone defined by the fall. You are someone defined by the return. And that shift is revolutionary. A servant known in the heavens as the one who always comes back, carries a rank unseen by human eyes. One of the quiet struggles believers face is accepting forgiveness after asking for it. Many people believe intellectually that Allah forgives, but emotionally they keep punishing themselves as if holding on to guilt proves sincerity. They replay their worst moments, interrogate their past, and drag forgiven sins like chains behind their present. But mercy is not symbolic. When Allah forgives, the record is wiped with a completeness no human system can imitate. Refusing to let go is not humility, it is distrust disguised as caution. Letting forgiveness settle into your chest is an act of faith. It is trusting that His judgment of you is more accurate than your memory of yourself. You are not meant to build your identity around a moment He erased. You are meant to walk forward lighter because of it. Repentance is not a single emergency exit you use once in crisis. It is daily oxygen. Even the most righteous hearts returned constantly, polishing themselves through humility. Every apology smooths the rough edges of the ego. Every tear waters the soil of sincerity. This rhythm, fall, return, rise, repeat, is not a flaw in the system. It is the system working. And over time something miraculous happens, the distance between falling and returning shrinks. The heart becomes trained to sprint back instead of wander. Shame loses its power. Hope becomes louder than accusation. And the believer grows not because they stopped being human, but because they mastered the art of coming home quickly. Right now the invitation is active in this exact breath. Not after you fix everything. Not after a holy season arrives. Not after you become the version of yourself you imagine. The present moment is sufficient. You return with the heart you have, not the heart you wish you had. One honest step toward Allah outweighs a mountain of mistakes behind you. And the most comforting truth a heart can hear is this: He never grows tired of receiving you. Not after repetition. Not after relapse. Not after promises broken and rebuilt. Divine mercy does not suffer fatigue. The welcome does not weaken. If you return breathing, you are met with love greater than your shame. Subscribe to the Inspired Muslim for reminders that keep hearts awake, and if something inside you softened while listening, protect that softness. That is guidance touching your chest. That is your heart remembering its origin. The journey back does not begin with perfection or confidence or spiritual strength. It begins with one honest turn. One quiet whisper. One decision to face mercy instead of hiding from it. And every journey that begins like that is already blessed with arrival written into its future.